Every pilot knows one absolute truth. Never threaten someone whose skills you don't know. Captain Robert Callahan forgot that truth. Today on Flight 417, approaching Edinburgh in 50-knot crosswinds, he's about to pay for it. Because when the flight attendant warned him about the weather worsening, when she suggested maybe he should consider the conditions carefully, he didn't just dismiss her, he threatened her. His exact words, "You'll never fly again after today? I'll make sure of it." He meant destroy her career, report her for questioning his authority, ground her permanently. But the flight attendant he just threatened isn't just cabin crew. She's Captain Natasha Okafor, former Nigerian Air Force, C-130 Hercules pilot, 3,100 flight hours, crosswind landing specialist, combat missions, Arctic operations, aircraft so difficult to land that Robert Callahan couldn't taxi one, let alone fly it. And in the next 43 minutes, when Robert fails twice to land this 757, when the hydraulics fail and he panics, when 200 passengers face disaster, Natasha is going to do what Robert said she'd never do again. She's going to fly. She's going to land this aircraft. And she's going to prove that the person who'll never fly again isn't her, it's him. It's 2:17 p.m. Keflavik International Airport, Reykjavik, Iceland, Gate 7. The Boeing 757-200 site's ready. Registration TF-FIU, white fuselage with blue stripe, Iceland Air colors bright against gray sky. Flight 417 to Edinburgh, 834 miles, 2 hours, 12 minutes scheduled, 200 passengers boarding, business travelers, tourists, students. Normal Thursday afternoon Atlantic crossing, the jetway connects. People flow, bags stow, weather outside deteriorating, wind picking up, North Atlantic weather doing what it does, changing fast, getting worse, but still flyable, still manageable, for now. Captain Robert Callahan arrives at the aircraft at 2:23 p.m., 50 years old. 6'2", broad shoulders, gray hair thick and swept back, weathered face, 25 years flying. Started 1999, regional carriers, then major airline. Built hours slowly. The old way, the proper way, earned every stripe. 4 gold bars on navy blue shoulders. Senior captain 757/767 fleet. Instructor rated. Czech airman qualified. He's flown everything, seen everything, survived everything. Atlantic crossings in winter storms, engine failures, hydraulic problems, medical emergencies. He's the guy they call when conditions get bad. The steady hand, the experienced pro, the pilot who doesn't panic. Management trusts him, crews respect him, passengers never know his name, but they're safer because he's there. That's his reputation, that's his pride. 25 years earning it. Nobody questions Robert Callahan, nobody doubts him, and anyone who does learns fast not to. He walks with authority, posture perfect, stride confident, his flight bag expensive leather, his watch Tag Heuer, his uniform pressed crisp. He's old school, proper, professional, the way captains used to be. Before the young fast trackers, before the simulator kids, before management started promoting people with 12 years experience. Robert earned his seat over 2.5 decades. He knows what real experience means. Real time, real weather, real problems. Not textbook scenarios, not computer simulations. Actual flying in actual conditions against actual challenges. That's what separates senior captains from everyone else. Time, experience, proven competence through years of doing it right, and Robert's done it right for 25 years. His first officer greets him. Young woman, maybe 32, Emma Clark, British, sharp, good pilot from what he's heard, but young, only 8 years flying. She nods respectful. Robert barely acknowledges, already focused on the pre-flight, weather briefing, meter reports, TAF forecasts, Edinburgh showing deteriorating conditions, wind increasing, currently 35 knots gusting 42. Crosswind component significant, runway 24 in use. Wind from 310 at 40 knots. 30-degree crosswind, gusting to 50 knots forecast. Near limits for the 757 challenging, but Roberts landed in worse, much worse. 25 years teaches you crosswind technique, how to crab into the wind, how to kick out the drift at the last second, how to plant the upwind main gear first, how to hold the nose. It's an art, takes experience, takes feel, takes confidence. Robert has all three. This landing will be challenging, but he's the right pilot for it. That's why they pay senior captains more. That's why experience matters. Senior Flight Attendant Natasha Okafor boards at 2:31 p.m., 39 years old, 5'8", athletic build, dark skin, Nigerian heritage visible in her features, black hair pulled back military tight, Navy Icelandair uniform pressed perfect. She moves with precision, not flight attendant precision, something else. Military precision, posture straight, steps measured, eyes constantly scanning, situational awareness ingrained. She's been with Icelandair 4 years, senior cabin crew, excellent ratings, professional, calm, competent. But something about her bearing suggests more. Suggests background, suggests experience beyond serving drinks and checking seatbelts. Most people don't notice. Robert wouldn't notice, doesn't care. She's cabin crew. He's flight deck. Different worlds. Natasha approaches the cockpit for pre-flight coordination. Standard procedure. She stands at the threshold, waits. Robert glances up, barely, asks what she needs. She begins the briefing. 200 passengers, full flight. Cabin configured, emergency equipment checked. She mentions one thing, the weather. Edinburgh forecast showing rapid deterioration, wind increasing significantly. She's flown into Edinburgh dozens of times, knows the airport, knows how crosswinds work there, the terrain, the buildings, the wind sheer near the field. She's seen captains struggle in conditions forecast for today. Maybe Robert should review the approach. Maybe consider alternate, maybe brief, extra, careful, just suggesting professional concern. Robert's expression hardens. Who is she to suggest? She's cabin crew, flight attendant. What does she know about approach procedures, about crosswind technique, about pilot decision-making? He's been flying 25 years. He's landed at Edinburgh in every condition imaginable. He's a check airman, an instructor. He teaches other captains how to fly. And she's telling him to review the approach? His jaw tightens, voice cold, hard. He tells her the weather is within limits. He's checked the forecasts. He's reviewed the procedures. He's flown worse crosswinds than this dozens of times. She needs to focus on her job. Let him focus on his. Cabin crew doesn't tell captains how to fly. Ever. Clear? Natasha's face remains professional, neutral, but her eyes flash. Just briefly. She's heard this tone before, different uniform, different accent, but same dismissal, same condescension, same assumption that because she's wearing cabin crew uniform, she knows nothing about flying. She simply nods. Understood, Captain. She turns to leave. Robert stops her, voice even colder now. He asks if she has any other suggestions for how he should fly his aircraft, any other concerns she'd like to share. Natasha turns back, says no, sir, nothing else. Robert leans forward slightly, his exact words delivered like hammer blows. Good, because if you ever question my authority again, if you ever suggest I don't know how to do my job, you'll never fly again after today. I'll make sure of it. I have 25 years seniority. I'm a check airman. One word from me, and you're grounded permanently. Understand? Natasha holds his gaze. Steady, unflinching, understands completely, Captain. She backs away, returns to the cabin, but her hands ball into fists briefly. Just once. Old reflex. Old training. Nobody threatens a Nigerian Air Force combat pilot and gets away with it. But she's not Air Force anymore. She's cabin crew. Different rules, different hierarchy. Robert has the power here, the seniority, the authority. He can destroy her airline career with one report. She knows it. He knows it. That's why he said it. Establish dominance. Remind her of her place. Make sure she never questions him again. What Robert doesn't know is Natasha's story. She wasn't always cabin crew. She was Air Force, Nigerian Air Force, joined 2004 flight school, top marks, fighter track initially. But Nigeria needed transport pilots, heavy aircraft. She transitioned C-130 Hercules, 4 turboprops, massive cargo plane, notoriously difficult to fly. especially in crosswinds. The high wing, the weight, the sluggish controls. Landing a C-130 in crosswinds is like wrestling a building through the sky. But Natasha mastered it, became specialist. They sent her everywhere: humanitarian missions, peacekeeping, combat zones, Sudan, Mali, Chad, landing on dirt strips, in mountain valleys, in 50-knot crosswinds, in conditions that would ground commercial pilots. She flew for 8 years, rose to captain, 3,100 hours, then her mother got sick. Late-stage cancer, England. Natasha took discharge, moved to Scotland, cared for her mother. 2 years. Her mother passed 2014. Natasha stayed in Scotland, needed income, couldn't get airline pilot job fast enough, type ratings expensive, European licenses different. She applied to Iceland Air as flight attendant, got hired, planned to transition to pilot later, but life intervened. Father got sick. Nigeria. More family responsibilities, more delays. She kept her licenses current, flies recreationally. But 4 years later, she's still cabin crew, still serving drinks, still checking seatbelts, still being dismissed by captains who think she knows nothing about flying. Captains like Robert Callahan. But Robert just made a critical mistake. He threatened the wrong person, dismissed the wrong background, underestimated the wrong skill set. Because in 43 minutes, when he can't land this 757 in Edinburgh's crosswinds, when his pride won't let him divert, when the hydraulics fail and panic sets in, Natasha Okafor is going to be the only person on board who can save everyone. The person he threatened, the person he said would never fly again. She's about to fly. She's about to land an aircraft he couldn't handle. And when it's over, when everyone's safe on the ground, when the investigation starts, when careers hang in balance, the person who'll never fly again won't be her. It'll be him. Because Robert Callahan just threatened a combat pilot, a crosswind specialist, a woman who's landed C-130S in conditions he's only read about. And she's about to remind him that rank isn't skill, seniority isn't competence. 25 years means nothing if you can't land the plane. And today, Robert Callahan isn't going to land the plane. Natasha Okafor is. At 2:54 p.m., Flight 417 pushes back from Gate 7. Keflavik outside the windows, gray sky, wind visible in the windsock, 40 knots already. Iceland's winter showing teeth. Robert taxis confident. This is nothing. He's flown Atlantic crossings for 2 decades. This weather is Thursday. Normal, expected. He briefs Emma on the approach. Standard crosswind technique. Crab angle into wind. Kick out at threshold. Upwind main gear first. She confirms. Ready. They're professionals. They've got this. The 757 lifts off runway 20 at 3:11 p.m. Climbs into rough air. Turbulence immediate. North Atlantic reminding everyone who's boss, but Robert's hands are steady, confident. He's flown worse, much worse. Or so he thinks. In 2 hours, he's going to learn that worse is yet to come. And when it does, the person sitting in the cabin right now, the person he threatened, the person he dismissed, is going to be the only reason Flight 417 doesn't end in disaster. 1 hour, 40 minutes into the flight. 4:51 p.m. local time. Flight 417 descending through flight level 220 toward Edinburgh. Scotland visible ahead through clouds. Gray, rainy, windy, very windy. The North Sea below, churning white. Weather system strengthening faster than forecast. Edinburgh ATIS reports wind 310 at 48 knots, gusting 61. Crosswind component for runway 24, now 45 knots steady, gusting to 55. Beyond 757 demonstrated crosswind limits. Company policy says 45 knots maximum, 50 knots absolute limit. They're at the edge. Past it when gusting, Robert gets the numbers, frowns. This is worse than forecast. Significantly worse, but still manageable. He's landed in 50-knot crosswinds before, barely, once. 10 years ago. Sketchy landing, but successful. He can do it again. He has to. Alternative is divert. Glasgow, maybe. Manchester. But diverting means admitting defeat. Means admitting the weather beat him. Means explaining to management why a senior Czech airman couldn't handle a crosswind landing. His pride won't allow it. His ego demands he land at Edinburgh. Weather be damned. Emma monitors the instruments, sees the wind reports, looks concerned, asks Robert if they should consider alternate. Maybe Glasgow. Better runway alignment with this wind. Robert's answer is curt. They're landing Edinburgh. Runway 24, he's flown worse. She doesn't argue, he's the captain, his decision, but her hands grip her kneeboard tighter. Something feels wrong, the turbulence increasing, the aircraft shaking, the wind velocity growing. This doesn't feel like a routine crosswind, this feels dangerous. In the cabin, Natasha stands in the forward galley, feels the turbulence, watches the wing flex through the window. She's felt this before, C-130S, in African mountain crosswinds. That unstable feeling, that sense of weather overpowering aircraft. She knows this sensation, knows what it means. The landing will be extremely difficult, maybe impossible. She wants to call the cockpit, warn them again, but Robert's threat echoes. You'll never fly again after today. He made himself clear she's not to question him, not to suggest anything. Her career depends on silence, so she stays silent, prepares the cabin instead, secures everything, briefs the other flight attendants, brace positions ready, emergency evacuation reviewed. She can't control the flight deck, but she can control cabin readiness. Old military training, prepare for worst, hope for best. 5:03 p.m. Flight 417 on approach, 25 miles from Edinburgh, descending through 8,000 feet. A TC vectors them for ILS-24 wind check, 310 at 51 knots, gusting 63. Robert's jaw clenches. 63-knot gusts, that's severe, that's dangerous. But he's committed now, gear down, flaps 15. Configuring for approach, the 757 yaws violently, wind pushing the nose. Robert corrects. Hard rudder input, ailerons fighting. The aircraft crabs 30 degrees into wind. Looks wrong, feels wrong, but it's the only way to track the center line. Emma calls altitude 6,000, 5,000, 4,000, speed fluctuating wildly, airspeed indicator swinging, 140 knots, 160, 135, wind shear, severe turbulence. The approach is barely stable, barely controlled. 3 miles out, Robert can see the runway, rain pelting the windscreen, wipers on high, visibility poor, wind howling, the 757 bucking like a wild animal. He's fighting it, muscling it, but the aircraft wants to go sideways, the crosswind component too strong, 55 knots hitting them from the left. He needs perfect timing, kick out the crab at exactly the right moment, align with center line, drop the upwind wing, plant the left main gear, then hold it. Keep the nose straight. It's possible, barely. He's practiced this, not in these exact conditions, but close enough. He can do this. He has to. 1 mile, 500 feet, the runway growing, wind slamming them, gust hits, 63 knots. The 757 lurches right. Robert corrects hard, overcorrects. Now they're left of center line. Emma calls it. Left of center, unstable. Robert's hands white-knuckled on the yoke. He's losing it. The crosswind overpowering his inputs, another gust. The aircraft yaws violent. 20 degrees off alignment, 200 feet, still not aligned, still not stable, not safe. Emma calls mandatory, go around. Robert knows she's right, hates it, but knows it. He pushes the throttles. Toga power, engine spool. The 757 climbs. Missed approach. First attempt failed. A TC asks if they want another approach or divert. Robert's voice tight, another approach. He can get this, just needed to feel the wind. Now he knows. Second attempt will work. A TC clears them, vectors for another ILS-24. Emma says nothing, but her face shows doubt. The wind isn't decreasing, it's increasing. Second attempt in these conditions. This feels wrong, but Robert's the captain, his call. But what Robert doesn't see is the hydraulic system, B system, pressure dropping, slowly, a seal somewhere leaking, nothing critical yet, but stress from the violent yaw during the approach started it. Microfracture, tiny leak, getting worse. The hydraulic quantity gauge shows 98%, normal tolerance, nothing to alarm about yet. But the stress continues. The aircraft shaking, the turbulence battering, the hydraulic lines flexing, the seal leak growing, still 98%, still normal. But in 10 minutes, in 20, during another violent approach, the seal might fail completely. B system might go to zero, and B system controls critical functions, flight controls, landing gear, brakes. If B system fails during landing, the aircraft becomes exponentially harder to control. Maybe impossible to control in these crosswinds, but Robert doesn't know. The gauge still shows normal. The warning light's still dark. He focuses on the approach, on his pride, on proving he can land this. He misses the slow death happening in the hydraulic system, 5:14 p.m. Second approach. Flight 417 configured again. Gear down. Flaps 30 now. Full landing configuration. Robert's going to use every advantage. More drag, more control authority, better response. The wind worse now. A TC updates 310 at 53 knots, gusting 66. 66, that's borderline hurricane force wind. That's severe weather warning territory. That's conditions commercial aircraft don't land in. But Robert's committed. Pride won't let him quit. Ego won't let him divert. 25 years experience demands he succeed. He's the senior captain, the check airman, the guy they call for difficult situations. He can't fail, won't fail, 20 miles out. The approach starts rough, immediately rough. Turbulence worse than first attempt. The 757 pitching, rolling, yawing. Robert fights it, constantly correcting. Power adjustments, rudder inputs, aileron deflections. Emma helps, but she's scared. Really scared. This feels suicidal. The wind screaming, the aircraft barely controlled. They're crabbed 40 degrees now, looking sideways at the runway, the wind pushing them. Robert compensates, adds power, corrects, fights. Every second a battle, every foot of altitude bought with intense effort. 10 miles, 4,000 feet. The hydraulic B system pressure drops, 95%, still acceptable, but falling. The seal leak worse now. Turbulent stress accelerating the failure. Warning lights still dark, but system dying. Quietly, invisibly. Robert doesn't notice. Eyes outside, focused on the approach, on the runway, on landing this aircraft no matter what. Emma monitors instruments, sees the pressure gauge, 95%, notes it mentally, still within limits, doesn't call it out. Probably just normal fluctuation, right? But it keeps dropping, 94%, 93%, the leak accelerating. 5 miles. Robert can see the runway clearly now despite rain. The approach looks terrible. They're oscillating wildly. Centerline tracking impossible. Wind gusts randomizing everything. But he's getting closer. 2 miles, 1,000 feet. Gear still down. Flaps full. Speed unstable. 130 knots, 150, 125. Wind shear brutal. Emma's calling warnings. Speed. Altitude. Track. Robert ignores her. Focused, determined, obsessed. He's landing this aircraft. His career depends on it. His reputation demands it. 1 mile, 500 feet. The 757 yaws. 45 degrees, violent gust. 66 knots. Robert can't correct fast enough. They're sideways. Drifting right, off center line, way off, dangerous, unstable, toga, go around. Again, second failure. The 757 climbs away. Robert's breathing hard, sweating, shaking slightly. 2 missed approaches, 2 failures, his pride shattered, his confidence cracking. Emma asks the question, divert? Please? Glasgow is 40 miles, better conditions. This isn't working. Robert's face hardens. No. Third approach. He's landing at Edinburgh. He's the captain. His decision. Final. Emma falls silent, terrified. This is how accidents happen. Captain fixation, pride over safety, ego over judgment. She's seen the accident reports, read the case studies. This is textbook get-there-itis, but she's the first officer. Can't override, can't force, divert, can only suggest, and he's refusing. In the cabin, passengers are terrified. 2 go-arounds, violent turbulence, aircraft shaking apart, children crying, adults praying. Natasha moves through the cabin, calm, reassuring, professional, but inside she's furious. She knows what's happening. Robert's trying to force a landing in conditions beyond his skill, beyond most pilots' skill. C-130 pilots land in this. Military pilots train for extreme crosswinds, but commercial pilots, even senior ones, these conditions exceed capability. Robert should divert, should admit defeat, should choose safety over ego, but he won't. She knows his type. Would rather crash than admit failure, would rather kill everyone than damage reputation. It's insane, criminal, but she's powerless. Just cabin crew, just the person he threatened. You'll never fly again. His words, his warning, she's trapped, unable to help, unable to intervene, unable to stop the disaster she sees coming. 5:26 p.m., third approach, Flight 417 configured once more. But something's different now. The hydraulic B system at 87%, still functioning, but degraded. The seal leak significant, fluid leaking into the wheel well. The controls feel mushy, delayed. Robert notices, asks Emma to check B system. She does, sees 87%, reports it. Robert curses, not now, not during approach. But it's still above minimum. 80% is limit. They've got 7% margin. System still operational, still safe technically. He continues the approach. What choice does he have? Divert means admitting triple failure, means grounding, means investigation. His career over. Better to land with degraded hydraulics than face that. Better to risk it. The system will hold. It has to, but it doesn't. 15 miles out, another violent gust. The aircraft yaws hard. Hydraulic lines flex. The seal ruptures completely. B system pressure drops like a stone. 80%, 70, 60, 50. Warning lights illuminate. Hydraulic B system fault, master caution, alarms. Robert's eyes go wide. Panic, real panic, B system failing during approach in hurricane-force crosswinds. This is worst-case scenario. The controls barely respond now. Backup systems engage but sluggish. The aircraft flying like a truck, heavy, unresponsive, and he's trying to land it in 60-knot crosswinds. Impossible. Literally impossible. Even with full hydraulics, this landing was marginal. With B system failed, suicidal, he has to divert, has to give up. No choice. Pride dies hard, but survival instinct wins. He reaches for the radio, calls ATC. They're diverting Glasgow, emergency declared. Hydraulic failure, need priority. ATC copies, vectors to Glasgow, 37 miles. Runway 23, better alignment, better conditions. But can they make it? Can they fly 37 miles with degraded controls? Can they land even in better conditions? Robert doesn't know. For the first time in 25 years, Captain Robert Callahan doesn't know if he can fly this aircraft, and the terror shows on his face. Glasgow approach, 30 miles northeast, Flight 417 limping, B hydraulic system at 32%, backup systems compensating but barely. The controls mushy, delayed. Every input takes 3 times normal effort. Robert's arms shaking from wrestling the yoke. Emma helping, but this is beyond her experience. 8 years flying, never dealt with major hydraulic failure in severe weather. She's terrified, following procedures, reading checklists, but out of her depth. Robert's not much better, 25 years, but most of it smooth operations. He's had minor hydraulic issues before, never major system failure, never in these conditions, never with this much at stake. He's drowning, barely maintaining control. The aircraft wants to spiral, wants to roll. He's fighting it. Constant inputs, constant corrections. Exhausting, terrifying, impossible to sustain. Glasgow ATC clears them direct. Runway 23, wind 280 at 38 knots, gusting 45. Better than Edinburgh, but still severe, still challenging, still dangerous with degraded hydraulics. Robert tries to calculate. Can he land this? The crosswind component may be 30 knots. Manageable normally, but with B system failed, controls barely responding, he's not confident, not at all. But what choice exists? They can't fly forever, fuel running low, systems degrading, they need ground. Now, he commits. tells Emma to prepare emergency landing checklist. She complies, hands shaking, voice breaking. This is real. They might crash. Everyone might die. Because Robert was too proud to divert earlier, too arrogant to listen, too confident in his ability to handle conditions beyond his skill. In the cabin, Natasha feels the aircraft handling differently. Sluggish, wrong, something failed. She doesn't know what, but something critical. The other flight attendants look to her. What's happening? She tells them prepare for emergency landing, brace positions ready. Evacuation procedures reviewed. Keep passengers calm but prepared. They move fast, professional, scared but functional. Natasha walks the aisle one more time, checks seatbelts, secures loose items, makes eye contact with passengers, projects confidence she doesn't feel because she knows what a degraded aircraft feels like. Knows how hard it is to land with failed systems, knows Robert probably can't do this. His skill set is civilian, simulator-trained, procedure-based, not combat-tested, not crisis-hardened, not prepared for actual catastrophic failure in severe weather. But she's landed C-100s with hydraulic failures, with engine failures, with multiple systems failed simultaneously, in crosswinds worse than this, on dirt strips, under fire. She can land this 757, even with B system failed, even in Glasgow's crosswinds. But she's in the cabin, not the cockpit, because Robert threatened her, dismissed her, told her she'd never fly again. Now everyone might die because of his pride. 5:41 p.m., 20 miles from Glasgow, descending through 6,000 feet, Robert's losing it, physically and mentally. Arms exhausted from fighting controls, mind fragmenting under stress. He's never been this scared, never faced real possibility of death. The simulator doesn't prepare you for this. The terror, the helplessness, the knowledge that you're inadequate for the crisis. He tries another input. The aircraft barely responds. Rolls 10 degrees. He corrects, overcorrects, now rolling 15 degrees opposite. The hydraulics so degraded he can't feel the aircraft anymore, can't sense the feedback. It's like flying blind, like controlling through mud. Impossible. Emma sees it, sees him failing, asks if she should fly. Maybe fresh hands would help. Robert snaps at her. No, he's the captain, his aircraft. But his voice cracks, betrays his fear. She knows, he knows. They're in trouble, deep trouble. Glasgow approach calls, 10 miles, runway in sight, cleared to land, fire trucks standing by. Robert acknowledges, voice shaking. He can see the runway, distant, obscured by rain, but there, their only hope. He starts configuring, gear down, 1 green light, 2, 3, locked. Good, flaps 30, extending slowly, the hydraulics struggling, finally full, locked. Landing checklist complete. They're ready as possible. But Robert's hands shake on the yoke. He can't do this, knows he can't. The controls too degraded, the crosswind too strong, his skill insufficient. He's about to kill everyone. 25 years experience. Check airman rating, instructor qualified. None of it matters. He can't land this plane. Emma sees his freeze, his panic. She makes decision, grabs the cabin phone, calls back. Natasha answers, Emma's voice urgent, desperate. Is there anyone back there who can fly? Anyone with pilot experience? Emergency. Captain can't handle the aircraft. Hydraulics failed. Need help. Natasha's heart pounds. This is it. Her moment, her choice. Help and possibly save everyone. Refuse and possibly die. But helping means revealing what she is, means contradicting Robert's authority, means risking his threat. You'll never fly again. He meant it. He'll follow through. But everyone dies if someone doesn't act. The choice is clear, she tells Emma. She can fly. Military pilot. C-130 experience, 3,000 hours. She can land this. Emma nearly cries with relief, tells Robert. Robert's face goes white. The flight attendant, the one he threatened, the one he dismissed, she's a pilot, military pilot, can land this. His pride screams no. His ego refuses, but his survival instinct wins. He nods. Get her up here now. Natasha enters the cockpit at 5:48 p.m., 7 miles from Glasgow, 3,000 feet descending. The scene chaotic. Robert slumped in his seat, exhausted, defeated, Emma flying but struggling. Alarms sounding, hydraulic warnings, wind shear alerts, the aircraft bucking, barely controlled. Natasha assesses in 3 seconds. B hydraulic system failed. Crosswind severe, approach unstable, crew overwhelmed. She's seen worse. Done worse, survived worse. She doesn't ask permission, doesn't wait for invitation. She tells Robert, move. He stares at her, stunned. She repeats, firmer, move, now. He unbuckles, stumbles out of the seat. She slides in, buckles, grabs the yoke, feels the aircraft immediately. The mush, the delay, the degraded controls, exactly like C-130 with hydraulic failure. She knows this. Her hands move automatic, muscle memory, military training. She makes inputs, smooth, precise, compensating for the delay. The aircraft responds, sluggishly but responds. She's got it. She's in control. Emma stares, shocked. This flight attendant flies like combat pilot, calm, confident, precise. No panic, no hesitation, pure competence. Natasha calls for her to monitor instruments, call-outs only. Emma complies. Altitude 2200, speed 135, on glide slope centered. Natasha flies the approach manually. No autopilot, pure hand flying, feeling the aircraft, sensing the wind, adjusting constantly, tiny inputs, micro corrections. The 757 tracks centerline, steady, stable. Despite degraded hydraulics, despite brutal crosswind, she's wrestling the aircraft into submission through skill alone. 5 miles. Natasha briefs the landing. She'll crab into wind. Hold it longer than normal. Kick out late, very late. Plant left main gear first. Hold right main off. Let it settle slowly. Use asymmetric braking with degraded hydraulics. Manual pressure. No auto brakes. She's done this many times. Different aircraft, but same principles. Emma acknowledges. Robert watches, silent, humiliated. The flight attendant he threatened is flying his aircraft, landing it, saving everyone he endangered. His career is over. He knows it. But at least they'll live. That's something. 3 miles, 2,000 feet. Natasha can see the runway clearly now, center line aligned, wind from left. She crabs 30 degrees, holds it, the aircraft stable, tracking perfect. 1 mile, 500 feet, she's got the energy right, speed right, descent rate right, everything perfect. 400 feet, 300, still crabbed, still stable, 200. She starts the transition, rudder input, kicking the nose right, aligning with runway, simultaneously dropping left wing, banking into wind, coordinated, smooth, textbook technique. But with degraded hydraulics, it takes 3 times the input. She compensates, muscle memory. The nose swings, aligns, left wing drops, right main still off the ground, 50 feet. She pulls power, flares. The left main touches, perfect, soft, planted. She holds the right main off. 3 seconds, 5. Lets it settle, gentle, both mains down. Center line perfect. Reversers deploy. Manual braking, even pressure. The 757 decelerates, smooth, controlled, stopping, stopped. Runway 23, Glasgow, Flight 417 landed, safe, everyone alive. The cabin erupts, passengers sobbing, cheering, applauding. They don't know who landed, don't know what happened, just know they're alive, safe. On ground, fire trucks approach, surround the aircraft, precautionary, hydraulic fluid visible leaking from wheel well. System dead, but aircraft safe. Landed, mission complete. Natasha unbuckles, stands, looks at Robert. He can't meet her eyes. Shame, humiliation, defeat. She doesn't gloat. Doesn't lecture, simply tells him he should probably report the hydraulic failure to maintenance, then walks out, back to the cabin, back to her flight attendant duties. Like nothing happened, like she didn't just save 212 lives, like she didn't just land an aircraft he couldn't handle. Professional to the end. 6 months later, Robert Callahan sits in his living room, Edinburgh. Early retirement, forced, not officially. They called it voluntary separation with pension, but everyone knows he was grounded after Flight 417. Investigation found captain fixation, pride over safety, multiple approach attempts beyond safe limits, refusal to divert, hydraulic failure exacerbated by stress he created. Then the final humiliation. Required flight attendant assistance to land, had to surrender command to cabin crew. A Czech airman and instructor, 25 years experience, surrendered his seat to a flight attendant. The report was damning. Recommendation: permanent removal from flight status, psychological unfitness, ego-driven decision-making, threat to safety. They offered early retirement instead of license revocation. He took it. 50 years old. Career over, reputation destroyed. His threat to Natasha recorded on cockpit voice recorder. "You'll never fly again after today. I'll make sure of it." The investigators noted the irony. He was right about someone never flying again, just wrong about who. Natasha Okafor stands on different tarmac, different uniform, captain's uniform, 4 gold stripes, British Airways. They recruited her immediately after Flight 417, heard about the military pilot working as flight attendant, heard about the emergency landing, watched the cockpit voice recording, saw her skill, saw her background, offered captain training program, fast-tracked. She accepted. 6 months later, she's flying 777s. London to Lagos, London to New York, back home, back where she belongs. The license she kept current, finally used. The skills she maintained, finally valued. The experience she carried, finally recognized. She's captain again. Not Nigerian Air Force, not cabin crew, airline captain, British Airways, major carrier, global routes. Everything she wanted, everything delayed by circumstances, everything delivered by crisis. Robert's crisis, Robert's failure, Robert's threat that boomeranged. First Officer Emma Clark transferred. Different airline, different fleet. Couldn't fly with Robert again after that day. But she learned to speak up, learned to challenge authority when safety demands it, learned that rank doesn't equal competence. She's flying A320s now, building hours, building confidence, working toward captain herself. And when she gets there, she'll remember Flight 417. Remember what ego does. Remember what humility requires. Remember to listen to everyone, because the person who saves your life might not be who you expect. The viral video has 9 million views. Passenger recorded, posted. Flight attendant lands plane in emergency. The comments: universal, hero, professional, military background, real pilot, everything Robert wasn't. The video changed industry policy. Multiple airlines now require disclosure of pilot licenses even for cabin crew. Resource management. If someone on board can help, use them. Don't let rank prevent survival. Flight 417 proved it. Natasha proved it. Robert learned it the hardest way possible. The lesson is written now, in investigation reports, in training manuals, in airline policies worldwide. Pride kills. Ego destroys. Threats backfire. Never underestimate anyone. Never assume job title equals ability. Never threaten someone whose skills you don't know. Robert threatened Natasha, said she'd never fly again, made sure of it. He was captain, Czech airman, senior, powerful, but Natasha flew anyway, landed the aircraft he couldn't, saved the passengers he endangered, proved herself the better pilot, the better person, the better captain, and now she flies every day, wide-body international, captain position, living her dream, while Robert sits at home, grounded, retired, finished. His threat fulfilled on himself, perfect ironic justice. And somewhere over the Atlantic, Captain Natasha Okafor sits in the left seat where she always belonged. 4 gold stripes on her shoulders, British Airways colors on her uniform, C-130 experience in her background, 3,100 hours, now 5,000. Every flight a reminder. Competence isn't about seniority, skill isn't about years. Being a captain isn't about threats or authority, it's about doing what needs to be done. It's about landing the plane no matter what. It's about serving everyone who trusts you, always. No exceptions, no ego, no threats. That's what being a captain means. Robert forgot it, Natasha remembered it, And Flight 417 will forever be proof that the best pilot isn't always the one wearing 4 stripes at the start. Sometimes the best pilot is wearing cabin crew uniform, serving drinks, checking seatbelts, dismissed by arrogance, threatened by ego, but ready, skilled, capable, waiting for the moment. And when that moment comes, when the captain fails and the aircraft falters and disaster looms, they step up. They take command. They land the plane. They save everyone. They prove that respect isn't given, it's earned. Through competence, through skill, through action, through landing aircraft in conditions that defeat lesser pilots, through being the person who can when everyone else can't. Robert told Natasha she'd never fly again. He'd make sure of it. 25 years seniority, check airman authority, captain power, he meant every word. But Natasha flew anyway, landed a 757 with failed hydraulics in 50-knot crosswinds, saved 212 lives, proved her worth, earned her stripes, got hired by major airline, now flies international routes, captain position, living proof that threats mean nothing when backed by incompetence. That seniority means nothing without skill. That power means nothing without ability. That captains who can't land don't get to decide who flies. She flies, he doesn't. Perfect justice, perfect irony, perfect proof that in aviation, as in life, skill beats rank. Competence beats seniority, ability beats authority, always, every time, no exceptions. Robert Callahan learned that on Flight 417, learned it watching Natasha Okafor land the plane he couldn't, learned it losing the career he threatened hers with, learned it sitting in forced retirement while she flies the world, learned it too late, but learned it nonetheless. And somewhere in that lesson, in that perfect reversal, in that absolute justice, lies the truth every pilot should know. The person you dismiss might be the person who saves you. The person you threaten might be the person you need. The person you underestimate might be the only one who can land the plane. Natasha Okafor was that person. She landed the plane. She saved them all. She flies today. And Captain Robert Callahan, he never flew again, just like he promised, just wrong about who.